I'll just go ahead and start that part now. Screw it. It's fine. The introductions and everything will be there. So turns out my charging cable for my iPhone is dead. I have a backup, but that backup has charged it all of 6% in the last hour. So I'll have a VTuber model available for this stream eventually, but for the time being, it looks like I'm back to old Suris. I figured if I was going to be locked behind being a JPEG, I may as well grab the oldest JPEG known to the channel. And oh dear God, it looks old.
It was my idea, I think. I suggested that.
It was, because I was just like, you know what? I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to do this no matter what. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start the stream, because like we were supposed to have this discussion yesterday, and a combination of not having air conditioning and my phone not charging the first time, which the first time was my fault. There wasn't an equipment failure. I was just like, you know what? We'll just have to push it off to tomorrow. I'll do my stream late after my phone's charged. Problem solved. Today, no, not the case. So here we are.
Hello, chat.
Also,
please don't eat me. I'm scared.
Some of them are into vor. Phrasing.
What? No, don't.
They're weird. You know this. You made the slime boy milk. You are part of the problem.
I didn't know it went into that direction.
You know what? I didn't either, but I've looked at my fan art section and nobody is safe. None of them are without sin. None of them.
And my audio is fine, right?
Yeah.
I'm just okay.
Your audio is perfectly fine. Though chat, we'll see if chat can.
Stop with the war, you guys are freaks. Not even I'm that bad.
You gotta think about it. War only works once, and then you die. So it goes in almost every direction. Yeah, it does. Because I have a policy of not, like, restraining half of you, and I should. Y'all all... Oh, no, I'm not even going to say that. That is also a kink.
Restraining also sounds bad.
I gotta say, that's also a kink. There is no way around this. I'm done. I'm done. That's what it is.
Everything is a kink.
So, for those who do not know, this is YaraKoro. Yara, hello.
Hello.
So wait, is that Remixin? No, Remixin is another artist on the channel, but no.
I'm not Remixin.
But
yeah, hi.
Hello.
I'm Yara.
Yara is responsible for a lot of the assets on the channel. Basically, if there's a PNG visual asset on the channel, 9 times out of 10, it's a YaraKoro thing. Catboy Milk, Slime Boy Milk, Blizzy, those are all YaraKoro designs. So
not the one he's using right now. That's way too pixelated to be mine.
Yeah. So I've said it before, and I'll get to redeems here in a second. Though, just so everybody knows, when I have a guest on, I try not to do as many redeems out of respect for the guest, unless it's Trey Nobles. I know they make him cringe specifically, so he's my exception. So the story with this avatar is I had a Hearthstone channel ages ago, and when I used this avatar on that channel, not as the actual avatar for the channel, I was a face cam for that. I used it for like top 10 lists. All I needed it to be was small, pointing to top 10 numbers. And I was like, yeah, that's all I need it for. And then it became the thing that I used for my main channel as an avatar 24/7. So it was purpose made to be small. It was never supposed to be blown up on a screen this large. Now that it actually has been blown up on a screen this large, I'm just like, wow, it's showing its age. I mentioned back when I had this commission, I think most monitors still weren't widescreen yet. Damn.
Yeah, that's old. I actually used to start, like I said, I used to start watching you. I don't know, I don't think it was when those videos came out when you had that model, but I certainly watched those. I think your second model was more the one where I started, but I wasn't really active in the community or anything. I was just listening to it while drawing.
That's most YouTube these days, if we're being honest. Most everybody pretty much just listens to YouTube and sometimes glances up at the visuals when something interesting happens. I learned that the hard way. I used to put a lot more effort into like editing visual aspects into my episodes, and then I noticed that like the episodes that performed the best were the ones that I didn't do that for, and that made me feel really self-conscious. I was just like, well, fuck, all that effort was worthless.
Yeah, I like to listen to things when I draw, and usually that's YouTube. Like commentary YouTube style videos are best for that because they usually don't need visuals. Yeah, that's why I kind of fell into BreadTube, I guess.
Yeah, video essaying and debates and all of that stuff, like it's almost all purely audio content with like sometimes B-roll. Even Xander Hall had like nothing but audio over B-roll for the longest time before he started doing actual live streams.
I never really watched him. I think I watched one video of him recently.
Well, we do share an editor, for better or worse. That's okay.
Currently, I only really watch you and Vosh.
Well, I'll make the joke everybody else is tired of making. Xander Hall's just mini Vosh anyway. But so the reason that I have YaraKoro on today is because months ago the idea was hatched between us that we should do a video about the differences between the United States governmental system and the German governmental system, with a kind of a brief overview of each to compare and contrast the two. Because I know a lot of people here in the States, we have an idea of how politics work outside of our country, but for the most part, America's really insular. Like, we have this weird tradition of pretending we're better than everybody else while simultaneously not knowing jack about anyone. So, figured this would be an interesting compare and contrast episode.
Yeah, I hope I'm gonna be of any help. I'm not really a content creator. I don't talk like this usually, so hope I'm not too boring or anything.
You say you're not a content creator, but you've literally created content on the desk in front of me right now.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm not a YouTuber or streamer or whatever else exists, a TikToker.
Oh, I see. I see. We have to begin this with moving the goalposts.
You know what I mean.
But what if I didn't? What if the audience didn't know? I'm kidding. I'm just messing with you. Okay.
It's already part of the video, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, hi.
Everything is. We'll have the awkward beginning there, and it'll be fine.
I'm already ruining this.
No. I've also told Cherry that, like, when I do, like, interview style videos or, like, really long form content like this, to, like, not really edit the video, just kind of add the stinger and set up, just set up chapters on YouTube, because handing Cherry 2 hours of video and paying the same flat rate I do for every other video would not be fair to Cherry. That would be me going, Cherry, I need to pay you triple for this video. I'm sorry.
To every crap I say here.
Oh my god, it's old Suris. It is old Suris. Stop reminding me that I'm old, shadow banging.
I already told him that today.
Anyways.
I actually did.
Yeah, the amount of conversations that have happened between us in the last month where you've called me an old man, I can count on more than a single hand now, and it's making me very uncomfortable. I know I'm mortal.
I don't recall calling you old like more than 2 times.
Maybe it's trauma. Who knows at this point? So she says, imagine being old. Yeah, you don't get to imagine it for very long, and then you die. Sorry, Toshi.
But I hope you don't die soon. You're not that old.
I don't think I'm that old. I'll be fine. I'll manage. But speaking of old people, speaking of old fucks, we should probably talk about governments. It'll happen to you too eventually. You don't have a fountain of youth in Germany.
Do you know that? What do you know about you didn't know that you can't march over bridges in equal steps? I told you that. What else do you not know?
You know what? You're right. You guys might have magical healthcare over there. I said aging is cringe, so I just don't do it.
We got taxes.
You have taxes, but we have Texas. Checkmate, atheists.
We have Bavaria.
Featherbow, just like old people be like, I am the Senate. It's very true, actually, over here. So let's talk about governments. Let's do this. So okay. Here in the United States, like very, very, very basic. we've got a president. Everybody knows that. They get elected every 4 years. What fewer people know is that we've got some lower houses as well. We've got the House of Representatives. They get elected every 2 years. Probably one of the most famous member of the House right now, unfortunately, is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh god. Yeah,
no, just...
I googled her today just to remember in which state you live in.
Yeah, no, she's... I had a person I met up at the card shop recently who, we're sitting down playing a game, and conversation about her comes up, and I'm just like, yeah, it kind of sucks that she's our representative, and he just stops. He's like, wait, what? She's our rep? They're like, yeah, you didn't know that? He's like, no, I just moved here. He's like, yeah, congratulations. You made a piss poor decision. Welcome to District 14. We get Marjorie.
14? Do you number them?
Yeah. Districts are numbered in the states.
Huh.
I am District 14, so we have Marjorie.
We named them after the biggest city.
Yeah, no, ours is a little weird. I'll get into how ours is set up as I get further down, like the different stuff we have here. The other lower form of government we have, which is technically, it's supposed to be equal with the House, but more on that later. We've also got the Senate. They're every 6 years. Some of the people you might know from the Senate are like Bernie Sanders, for instance. That's one of the more noteworthy members of the Senate here in the United States.
I know that guy.
Yeah. I wish his bid for becoming a president would have been good. I would have rathered him than Biden. I would have rathered him than Trump.
Bernie could probably be one of the governing people here. I would probably put him in the SPD, which is currently one of the governing parties.
Yeah. Also, for those who do not know, the reason that I have Classic Suris on right now is, one, Yara made me do it. Two, my iPhone is currently dead. It is in the middle of being charged. So we'll have VTuber back in a couple hours.
I killed his iPhone just so we get this Suris back.
Oh, I see. This was all a ruse.
I broke the cable.
You did it.
Traveled to Georgia, and then I just cut it.
Well, shit. Traveled all this way just to cut the cable, and didn't even pet Gigi. Damn.
No, I stole the cat. No, don't worry.
Damn it, where is she? Oh no, she's right there on top of the. I'm literally staring at her. She's staring at me like, Dad, what the fuck are you talking about?
Maybe it was a different cat.
They said Yara's a phone assassin. Hide your eyes. Jesus Christ. So the reason that at least here in America, the reason that we have the elections held on different years, they're not all held at once, it's for a specific reason. The main reason being we're supposed to have a divided government in the United States. That's kind of baked into the idea of how our country works. So by having a president elected every 4, House every 2, and Senate every 6, you won't always have Democratic president, Democratic House, Democratic Senate. Sometimes you'll have those flip because the years do not necessarily overlap. It's supposed to help with separation of power, though sometimes we get situations where the Democrats control all 3 and somehow can't get things done, like right now.
If I can say something, I think with us, our political system was basically like created by the USA, Britain, and who else? France, yes. And because, after World War II, it was kind of taken over. So it's kind of similar in the way that we have a federation, or it's called the Federal Country, Bundesrepublik, so a Federal Republic of Germany. So it's kind of similar where we have different, powers. Mm-hmm. But I think the main difference is that we have so many more political parties that it's not like, oh yeah, everything is taken over by this one party. My cat is screaming at me.
Jesus Christ. So we used to have more political parties in the United States, but that kind of died out after a while. And it died out because we have a first past the post way of voting. And there's a really good video. I've said it a number of times, but I'll say it again. There's a really good video by CGP Grey, and it goes over the voting system in the United States and how it will always mathematically boil down to there only being two parties, because no matter what happens, if you have a voting system like what we have here in the States, you always end up with two parties eventually. If you have 5 parties, as a little more power is given to one, you start having to split your vote between, let's say, Democrats have 40% of the vote, Whigs have 30% of the vote, Republicans have 30% of the vote. First past the goalpost wins, so your choices are either splitting the vote between the Republicans and the Whigs, or throwing them all at one of those two parties to guarantee that the party you don't want, so if you don't want the Democrats, that's a way to make sure that they don't win, is by shoving all of your votes in the party more likely to win, not the party you want more. And as the social zeitgeist moves, eventually the other parties start to get kind of forgotten. Like, we technically have 2 other parties in the United States that you can note, but in some states you can't even vote for either of them. We've got the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. I couldn't vote for the Green Party here in the United States. They didn't have there was nothing, in Georgia, I wasn't allowed to vote for their party at all. Like,
oh god. Well, I don't really know enough about the American system probably so to compare it, but like, are you talking about the president or more of the Senate right now?
So all of them, everybody who is a politician, they fall into one of the parties in the United States. The way that we get people, we have what's called a primary election first. Primary election is where the party will go. Let's say we're talking about the House of Representatives, but this holds true for every single level of government. But for your primary, here recently, they said, hey, in Georgia's District 14, you have a choice between who's going to be running against Marjorie Taylor Greene. We had Holly Summers. We had, there was one other person, I can't remember their name. And then we had Marcus Flowers. And you had to choose which of the 3 people you wanted to run against Marjorie. Whichever one would be the person the Democratic Party threw forward in the actual election for who gets to be in the House of Representatives. But you have to file with a party, and then you only get to vote in that party up until the main election. So, like, a Republican can vote for Biden when it's Biden against Trump, but a Republican can't vote for Biden if it's currently Biden versus Bernie Sanders.
Okay, so basically the way it works in Germany is, I'm talking about the Bundestag right now. The Bundestag is like the main governing body, I would say. There are also others, but let's just focus on that one. And basically how it's voted on, and as far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, I should understand this, I already voted in one, is that like every like county, I think would be the translation, you get like a list of, so you have 2 votes. There's one of the votes is for a party, so you get a list of parties and then you vote for one of them, and then the second vote is like a specific person, and every party gets like has like a whole list of people that can get in, and
yeah, that's basically identical here. That's the same way we do it here. You have you go Republican or Democrat, select party, and then you have your sub list of actual people.
Well, you have like two votes here basically, and well, you have like a pretty long list of people that you can vote, but sorry, I'm not helpful.
You're good.
I'm sorry, I'm just, social anxiety. Would be maybe if you have some questions, that would be great, so I don't have to.
Sure. So you're not having to wing it. So here's what I think the easiest way to do this would be. I'll go down my notes of the various things that we have here, and then I'll throw back at you how that system is either mirrored or different in your country. So sure. Here, the separation of power technically works as we've got the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judiciary branch. Executive is like the president, his members of cabinet, Homeland Security, Secretary of Commerce, like all of that is considered the executive branch. The legislative branch is the other people I already mentioned before, the House and the Senate. That's the legislature. The judiciary branch, that's the courts. So like the Supreme Court, that's part of the judiciary branch. I'm going to ask you if you perhaps see a problem with this system when you realize that the executive branch gets to appoint justices into the judiciary branch, and then the Senate gets to decide whether or not those actually go through. We don't get to appoint our justices. So there's supposed to be a check and balance in the judiciary branch, but that feels like that's not really the case when we don't get much power over those.
Well, so basically, the way it's here, we have like the legislative would be the Bundestag and the Bundesrat. Like the Bundestag, they're like voted indirectly by the people, while the Bundesrat, wait, I did my homework. I have a spreadsheet here. They're like from the count. Like you have different, there are different countries in Germany, like federal countries, Bundesländer, and every head of them like goes to the Bundesrat. I pretty much know, or they at least they like appoint them or something. And usually the Bundestag is the one which makes laws, but the Bundesrat can and the Bundesrat can also do them, and then the Bundestag looks at them if the Bundesrat made them, or the Bundestag looks the Bundesrat looks at them if they made it. That's as far as I understand it. And the Bundestag also is like vote for the president, which is a really meaningless position here. I can talk about that later. More important, we also have for the executive branch, there is our government, die Bundesregierung, which the chancellor, like, how do you say it, chancellor, is part of. And they can basically, they pretty much put like initiatives and laws into action. And the judicial part, which would be our Verfassungsgericht, which, you know what the Grundgesetz is? That's basically like our constitution, I would say, where there's like a basic principles that the government has to abide by. And they like look at if somebody sues the government because they say like a law isn't good, or somebody says a law isn't good, then they look at it and they can say if it's good or not.
Oh, it's the same thing like when the Supreme Court reviews a case here. It's the same thing then, right?
Yeah, and basically half of them are appointed by the Bundestag and half of them by the Bundesrat. As I read, they're for 12 years.
Okay, so for here, like a Supreme Court justice, for instance, that's a lifelong position. Once you get a justice, they're there till they're dead.
No, they're 12 years here.
Okay, see, I wish we had that here because there's... So, a thing that happened here in the United States that a lot of people still get up in arms about, one of our more progressive justices was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth was in the... So, she had the chance to retire during the Obama administration. And if she had retired during the Obama administration, there would have been 2 Supreme Court seats that Obama could have filled. And he would have either put in a moderate or a progressive because he was the Democratic-elect president. She actively chose not to retire during Obama's administration and preferred to keep her seat for as long as she could, despite knowing that she wasn't going to be around much longer. As a result, during Trump's presidency, she died, meaning that Trump had the seat that was blocked from Obama that he got to fill, the seat that was Ruth Bader Ginsburg that he was allowed to fill, and then a third seat. So we got like Amy Coney Barrett, we got Brett Kavanaugh, like we got 3 justices appointed by Trump because he owned the Senate for so long, and the Senate was the ones who had the ability to block or allow him to appoint those Supreme Court justices.
Okay.
that's a consequence of us having those for life, is that like if a justice dies, whoever happens to be president at the time, whatever side of the political spectrum they're on, just assume that they get to shove a justice in that seat at that exact moment of death.
Suris, before I answer to that, you said you in the title of the stream you wrote German. The German government.
Oh, I see it.
Maybe,
It's
you want to fix it.
It's a Digimon. It's a Digimon.
So,
German.
The problem is here, the president gets to put the justice in, right? As I understand. So
the president can if the Senate allows it. Like the Senate president puts forward a justice, and then the Senate will actually determine whether or not the justice can take their seat. They usually have this long interview process for a justice specifically to see whether or not they'll get in.
But that's like still the same, like, oh, if the Senate is completely controlled by the Republicans, then, or if it's still just two parties like competing against each other pretty much. So here, I guess it's in the Bundestag there are like a lot of different parties. I could count how many there are. Wait, I think 6 are usually in there. And 6 parties are the ones that are like the big ones, which are actually in the Bundestag. I mean, there are a lot more than that, but they don't get in because we have a 5% hurdle where you have to get 5% so you can get in. I think it was 5%, yeah, 5%. And they pretty much, vote, the Bundestag votes half and the Bundesrat votes half, and only for 12 years. So not one person, or like if the Senate is not just one dominant power in the Senate, I guess. There's
not as much consolidated power within German politics as there is in American politics, it seems.
I think the main difference is not how the systems work. I mean, there are some differences, but it's very similar. I think the difference is just, and I don't exactly know why this difference happened, but we have a lot more parties here.
Yeah.
And I think the Democrats and the Republicans, the Republicans are pretty bad, I would say, but they're both pretty conservative, I'd say, right?
I'd say the Democrats are they typically lean socially progressive, but a lot of their policies are they're nowhere near far enough left economically for me to consider them an actual truly left party. For the amount of times that the Republicans bitch about them being communists, I'm just how? What? I see none of that.
I would put them I think the Democrats are out CDU, I think, conservatives. I would put them there, and that's our middle party. And the Republicans are right there, the AfD, I believe.
Yeah, I have a weird issue with how we view the Democrats in the United States. If you're not really politically engaged, or you're very politically engaged but you're on the right, you tend to see the Democrats as this far left extremist group. But if you've looked at global politics, several of the radical things that have been proposed by the Democrats are very, very moderate when you actually compare them to other countries. If you look at any bill that we put forward, with healthcare in the Democratic Party, it's borderline every bill is borderline hyper capitalistic compared to say anything that you would see in Canada or the UK, despite the NHS being stripped year by year. That's a thing Channel Pups complained about. But it's very agitating. I do not like not having a left party in the US.
Why do you believe Germany has more parties than the US? I don't really know how to explain exactly that exactly. I thought it was because we have 2 votes, but you said that that's also the case.
Well, so we don't. So it's less that you have a vote here. It's more that you select. You select the party you're going to be voting for, and then you select a person within the party. Problem
that's
is
not here.
Okay.
Here it's usually like you actually have a ballot and you have like 2 columns, I'd say, and then um, one of them is like you vote for a party, and in the other column there's people, I believe, or it's 2 different papers, something like that. But you have actually 2 votes, like one for a party and like just the first person on the list pretty much that isn't in would go in if the party gets enough votes and there, and then you can also vote for a specific person, and then if that person gets enough votes, then that person also gets in, like separate from the other one.
Okay, yeah. So here, for somebody's name to even show up on the list, they have to be represented. Like, there needs to be enough representation for their party in your state at all. That has to come first.
No,
if you
can vote for any party, like even small parties, like even I vote for a small party, and usually with I don't know if the first or second, like the vote where I get to vote for a party.
Yeah, so here in the States, whenever I go to vote in my primaries, if it's primary, I literally just have the 2 buttons, Democrat or Republican, and all that decides, like, that button means nothing. All it means is that I'm allowed to vote for who the Republicans put forward, or I'm allowed to vote for who the Democrats put forward.
Why?
But that's all we get.
That's stupid.
That's United States politics. It's
like, why do they have to? Do they need it? Can't they just send in both?
You got to remember, this is the country that we have politicians literally trying to get rid of mail-in votes because they want fewer people voting. I also remember, I live in Georgia. We have Brian Kemp, and he's got a long history of fucking with people's votes. It's very awkward.
Yeah, something that somebody said in the chat that's also pretty interesting, because like we don't have the first person who, like Jim and John, sorry for your name, said in practice German has no first past the post, but a percentage split based on votes. So basically, like any party which gets over 5%, and then the percent is just split. It's not like the first who gets that many votes. Like, okay, it is that it's just 5%, but as soon as you get that, the seats are like split up by percentages. And I think by you, it's just person that gets the most vote gets in.
So a couple things here. Salem says, wait, sir, does that mean if someone changes their mind between primary and secondary, they can't? So basically, when I vote in primary, our primary just decides who gets to go up against the Republican. But if you decide when it comes to the secondary election, when it comes to the actual election for the seat, that you would rather vote Republican, like I could go vote Marjorie Taylor Greene in. That's a thing that I could do when it comes time for me to do the actual vote for our seat in the Georgia House. That does not mean that I'm locked in to voting for Marcus. I can either vote for Marcus Flowers or I can vote for Marjorie. Technically, you can vote for a write-in, but let's be honest, voting for a write-in in the United States is throwing away your vote. And anybody who argues elsewise doesn't know math. I understand there's a lot of people who would go, well, I don't want to vote for X party because moral reasons, so I vote for write-in on moral grounds. Congratulations, you've maintained your moral purity and done nothing.
I mean, we kind of have that here that if there's a party under 5%, it's usually like a throwaway vote. But I mean, at least they have a chance to get in. So, I still do vote for a small party. I don't think it's a waste. I think it's good. But you can use a second vote for a bigger party, Yeah,
but that's not a thing we can do here.
You have more options.
Yeah, there's so we do have a 5%-ish system here. So for instance, the Libertarian Party, they tried to bring in Joe Jorgensen in the last presidential race. The race was Biden versus Trump versus Joe Jorgensen. Now, nobody knows who the fuck Joe Jorgensen is because she's the Libertarian vote. Nobody cares. But had she gotten at least 5% of the vote, then her party would have received, if memory serves, it's like they received federal funding and more of a prominence in the next major presidential election. But that's all that means. Like we have a 5% does NX thing system here, but it's just that.
So interesting how you like talk about how Bernie could have been the like the I don't know president, not but you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
the Green Party and the Libertarian Party, you know, our pretty much Social Democrat Party, our Green Party, and our I would say Libertarian Party are the three governing parties right now.
Can I just come to Germany, please?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad we agree. I'll just back up now.
But go to Bavaria. We have good food.
Okay. So I do. There was another comment that I wanted to look at that was just that's stupid. Congratulations, you just surmised all of United States politics. So I do kind of want to get into how how and why our like lower powers, actually like the legislative branch at least, got set up and kind of why. So it used to be that we didn't elect our senators. Maybe a lot of people in the States don't know that, but we used to actually not elect our senators. We only elected the House because it used to be that in the upper house was what was considered your senators. Senators were appointed by the government, not elected. You had 2 senators per state so that there was always equal ability. Thanks, Growlithe. This is... Yep. Thanks, girl, for the barking. She's just gonna keep on doing it. Okay, I guess I'm closing my door. 1 sec.
My cat just left.
Okay. So the way our Senate works, if you've probably heard the word filibuster, right?
Yeah, that's also kind of stupid. Here you get like a if I understand right, it's like you can just talk indefinitely, right?
Basically.
Like that.
So the
So how we just how we do it here is that every party gets like a specific amount of time that they can speak based on the vote they got.
So that's well, you said based on the vote they got. So like the higher, the more votes they got, the more time they get to speak, I guess.
Yes.
That's interesting. So that's definitely not how it works here. If you have a libertarian in the House of Representatives, they get to speak for the same amount of time as anybody else in the House. But speaking of the Senate has a tradition of unlimited debate, and this is because the Senate, as a government-appointed body, not appointed by people under them, this was meant to be the aristocracy. This was supposed to be where all of the rich people in government were. If you were in the Senate, you were part of the upper class. That was kind of the tradition.
Right.
So the House of Representatives was supposed to be for lower classes of people, and they actually have limitations on debate. But I guess the idea is if you're upper class, you have all the time in the fucking world, so unlimited debate it is. Welcome to the filibuster.
If you have enough money, you can just, I don't know, fuck.
Yeah, basically. Now, as
just allowed to do everything. Sorry.
As a result of this, there's actually a power the Senate doesn't have. The Senate cannot impeach a president. The Senate has impeachment trials, though. So, like, let's say a president does a thing, like Trump did, and everybody says, we need to impeach that president. So it's actually the House of Representatives that get to do the impeaching, the quote, lower house. There's 100 members of the Senate versus 435 members of the House. The House gets to decide whether or not an impeachment happens. But after an impeachment has been agreed on, then the Senate votes, the Senate holds a trial to actually see if the impeachment will stick. The problem is, impeachment requires if memory serves, it requires a supermajority of the Senate to actually have an impeachment go through all the way to where there's actually like legal consequences. That generally doesn't happen because our Senate is usually split almost 50-50. Like right now, we've got a basically even split, and we've got one Democrat who always sides with the Republicans. Joe Manchin always sides with the Republicans, but he's on the Democratic ticket. So technically we have a 50-50 split in the Senate, but in reality, we've got one Democrat who's just like, I'll fuck it up for all of you.
Well, so it's kind of similar here that just the Bundestag can like I don't. It's not like called impeachment, but you can they can like fire I guess the Kanzler. But the thing is, our Kanzler is not like this powerful president thing how you have it in America. They're not. It's not like a position like that. They do have power. I don't exactly know if they have any. I don't think they have much power on laws exactly. But they're more of the executive.
Okay.
And so putting like things into action, and they're part of the government. The government here, like the Bundesregierung, is more about like financing or like doing certain projects or stuff like the executive putting initiatives into action. I would believe. I'm not if I'm forgetting something. Like there are a few people on chat. If you can like add to that, that would be great. But like we don't have one person on the top which like decides everything. We do actually have a president, but the president isn't a political role really. They are more like a
figurehead.
I guess you could say they're like that might sound stupid, but they're more like the queen. Like they're not like cherished like the queen, but they more like present like, oh, here is our symbol of democracy, and you get to do speeches, but you don't really do a lot. I'm pretty sure the president like signs laws, but they don't have any veto rights on anything. They can say, "Oh no, this isn't good. We sent this to our judges," but that's it, pretty much.
They're a glorified middleman.
Yeah,
that's
yes.
awkward.
Actually, we pretty much only have that person to do public speeches and I don't know, call ourselves a republic. That's pretty much why we have him.
So you said your executive branch.
A lot of Germans don't even know we have a president.
So you said your executive branch handles things where like revenue is concerned. That's at least it sounded like you said that, right?
Well, the Bundestag. So I have notes. Give me a second.
Okay.
So basically, I'm pretty sure they like appoint the I pretty much there's like they can make like a household, it's called, like how much money they can spend and shit. But
Okay.
I believe that either the Bundestag or the Bundesrat also have a say in that. But they're basically the Bundesregierung. There's like on the top there's the Kanzler. Then under them there are ministers for different things like finances, economy and climate is one. Then like outside politics, like I'm bad at English. So something like that, and they have their different things. Sorry, they have the different things that they like govern, I guess.
So for us, if any bill includes like a revenue package, that's actually got to originate in our House of Representatives. It can't originate from the executive branch. The reason that was done, so you remember how I said that like before the Senate was appointed by the aristocracy and the House was appointed by the people? That was the original tradition. Despite the fact that the Senate is appointed now the same way that the House is, every 6 years an election is held, etc. One of the foundational things for America was taxation without representation equals bad. So the idea was you couldn't have the executive branch and you couldn't have the upper house handle anything that involved revenue, because that would involve spending tax dollars from people who were not technically representatives of the common people. They were representatives of the upper crust.
Hey, can't people in Washington, D.C. not vote or something?
So Washington, D.C. is not considered a state. There's a bunch of really weird legal stuff where they're concerned.
So they don't pay taxes, or they're just not represented, or what?
So like if memory serves, they do not actually have reps in the Senate. Like that's just not a thing they get.
So taxation out representation.
I mean, we also technically have Cuba as a territory, and they are also not represented
Yeah,
in
that's
any of our governing bodies. But like, Washington D.C. does have state taxes, so they have taxation. But said Puerto Rico's another
sorry,
one.
Just
Yep,
wanted to say that.
Puerto Rico and Guam. We've got a lot of stuff that's like technically under us.
We don't, I believe.
I said I thought it was Puerto Rico, not Cuba. Oh, right. No, you're right. Cuba gained independence from the United States. I'm dumb. I'm mixing up my history. Cuba gained formal independence from the United States. You're right. But yeah, Puerto Rico does not have representation for us, despite being a territory we have.
I didn't know Puerto Rico was part of the US. Actually, I thought that was its own country.
Yeah, we it's like we do have Guantanamo still, don't we? I mean, yeah, we have a torture chamber there for reasons.
Oh God, Suris.
I'm not kidding. Everybody knows what Guantanamo Bay is.
Oh God. Imagine I said that.
Like, so the territory bigger in population than 21 states. Yep. So currently there are 5 major U.S. territories. We've got American Samoa, we got Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Imagine I just said, sorry. Imagine I just said, yeah, we have some island and we have a torture chamber. Imagine what people would say about that. God.
I mean, with German history, I could imagine there being some words said, but somehow magically America gets to have that, and everybody's just like, it's fine. They have Texas. What do you expect? They have Florida. What do you think was going to happen?
We have Berlin.
There was a wall there at one point.
No, serious.
What?
Inside, not like around the No, stop. No, it's not funny.
And yet you're laughing.
Pity laugh.
Pity. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm glad. At least I can admit we have a torture chamber.
We had those.
Said Puerto Rico's a quote protectorate.
Where were we anyways? Like before I started about DC.
So we were talking about the House of Representatives and the Senate, and how Washington D.C. doesn't. They're not technically a state, yet they're here in the U.S. and they're our capital, which has always been kind of weird to me. But okay. The main comparison there was when you mentioned that your executive branch controls some bills where revenue were concerned, whereas here in the United States, that's not supposed to be a thing. It's supposed to be that all bills go through the House of Representatives, because taxation without representation, freedoms, basically all of that.
So I don't really. I mean, I'm not that I don't know that much about things. But I don't know how it is if there's a when money is concerned. I believe there's something that the Bundesregierung does that, and maybe the Bundestag is somehow involved. I don't know that much about that part, so maybe I don't know. Sorry.
Yara, it's okay.
Yes.
It's completely fine.
Okay.
I recognize that a part of this isn't memory. A lot of this is just social anxiety. I can guarantee you everybody in chat right now is perfectly fine and is enjoying you.
Are you guys fine? Are you doing okay? How are you doing?
I guarantee you. They'll say it as soon as the lag catches up. See, Crazy Neck Girl says you're fine. Jump Point says you're fine. You have a bunch of happy emojis from Pika and Toto.
So is there something else you want to specifically ask, maybe?
So I'm actually kind of curious.
Yeah.
So we both have judiciary systems, obviously. We'd have to.
Yeah.
It'd be very weird to have. Yeah, it'd be very weird to not have,
anarchy.
Law. So let's talk about judiciary systems for a second. At least for the
If I
United
know
States.
enough about that.
At least in the United States, the idea was that checks and balances are needed for any side not to have too much power. So our three sides are executive, legislature, and judiciary. This
Yeah, that's
doesn't
every democracy.
supposed to be. This doesn't always work out, especially here in the States with the way we appoint our Supreme Court justices, but still. So in here, courts are all hierarchical. There's two sides of court. There's federal and there's state court. With state courts, you have trial courts. All 50 states have their own trial courts. And most court cases just get settled out of court. That literally just like an agreement is reached, somebody pays a fine, and then they just don't go to court. I guess that's a way to make sure that judges don't have to do their jobs. That's just my thought. So like, let's say you get accused of a crime here. Your case either goes to federal or to state. Most cases are going to be in state because, like, you get a speeding ticket, that's a state thing. If you didn't pay a water bill, that's a state thing. You have your initial trial at that bottom trial level court, and then you have a chance to appeal if you don't actually like what you got as a verdict there. So they say, hey, you're guilty of doing this. You're like, I don't like that. I don't want that. I'm going to take this to a higher court. There's two appellate courts you can take it to, two levels of it, before it goes to the Supreme Court in the United States. On the flip side, if it's a federal issue, if it's something to do more with the main governmental body of the U.S. and not a local state one, you only have one appellate court you can go to. You've got a federal court, and then you've got one appeal you can make. And then after that one appeal, it has to go to the Supreme Court. Problem? Every appellate court and the Supreme Court have a history of ignoring 90% of cases that come through to them. So most of the time, if you have any legal problem, you kind of want it to go through state courts because with two chances to appeal, there's a more of a likelihood that the appellate court will actually take your case. If it's a federal one, you get one shot and then you're fucked. So good luck on that one. It's a whole lot harder to win federal cases than it is to win state cases. So another interesting thing is federal courts, whereas like state courts, there's a bunch of them because there's 50 fucking states. There's only 12 circuits for federal courts. But they're all cut by geography. So for instance, like the Ninth Circuit has California and Washington and Oregon, but the Fifth Circuit has Texas. So if you have a federal case, would you rather be tried in California or Texas? Usually not Texas.
Well, I already told you that that's like the topic I know least about, but I already know it's kind of similar that we have like an like public right kind of judicial thing and and private. But you're not allowed to just go into a different let's call them states. So we have also have kind of like states. You can't just go into a different state and then say, oh yeah, I'm going to Berlin to appeal this. No, that's not something that's allowed here. But again, I've never been to court. I don't know shit about court. I've been a good soul, okay?
I've been to court once because I was not able to pay an insurance bill on my car once. And that is the one time I've been to court. It's the one time I've been in a jail cell. I will never be...
Yeah. Wait, is jail cell?
So if you do not pay car insurance here, that's considered that's something that you actually get like a $2,000 fine for and a night in jail for. Like you did.
Excuse me?
Yeah. That's how it works here.
I don't think that's how that works here, but I couldn't tell you. I just got my car.
Well, hopefully you never have to find out. Because that was not fun for me to find out.
I don't think you have to spend time in jail. We don't have a big incarceration rate here. I know that in America there's a lot of people in jail, but here not a lot of people are in jail. Like not saying that there aren't, like there's still a lot of people probably in jail, but not as much as in the U.S.
Yeah, here we have the 13th Amendment, so we try to keep a lot of people in jail because they're technically free labor.
Yeah, I heard that. That's awful. No, we actually treat our prisoners pretty well, I believe. Not as well as Nordic countries, but I'm pretty sure that, well, we treat them rather well. If Americans, every time Americans like see a German say a jail cell, they say like, "Hey, that's my college dorm."
Yeah, I've noticed like a lot of Nordic countries are like that as well. Like when I look at jail cells in say
They're
Sweden,
even better.
I'm just like, this looks like a hotel, and it makes sense because I don't believe that punishment teaches people lessons when they're old enough to like understand shit, and they don't just need to be dissuaded from doing things because otherwise the whip happens. I think it's better to reform people, to be like, hey, as opposed to just, beating you violently and putting you in this terrible social situation, we're actually going to like teach you why the thing you did was wrong and ways to improve your life. Like, hey, did you steal that thing? Why did you steal that thing? Okay, then instead of just beating you in a jail cell, why don't we just reform you? Like, okay, we're gonna have a program set up so that you can get a better job afterwards, and not have to rely on stealing oranges from the local market.
Yeah, it's definitely better here. I don't know, it's probably not perfect. Like we still keep people in there, and I believe it's a lot better than in America, where you actually put people into behind like bars. That's not how it works here. Got a random fun fact for you.
Hmm.
It's not illegal in Germany to break out of jail.
What?
It's not illegal. You don't get extra jail time for it.
Huh.
It's because we think that it's our like a Bedürfnis. What do you say Bedürfnis in German? Like a fundamental need for people for freedom. Like people seek freedom, and we believe that's fundamentally what people do. But if we catch them, they still get sent back, just not
Oh, so it's like
with more time.
you can't punish people for wanting to be free. That's like a
Yes.
basic thing.
But usually you have to break some laws to break out, so that's
Yeah. Like you won't get charged for breaking out of your jail cell, but you might get charged for, holding an officer at knife point. Like that's a thing
I don't know
that
if
is illegal.
That's also, I believe, Mexico or some other place also has it. I don't know if it was in Mexico or here, but there was actually one person who actually broke out of jail and didn't like commit any crimes, and they just, I don't know, they just left the country, I guess, something.
Jesus. Yeah, that's not the way it is here at all. So when we're talking about our course, I was talking about the different regions that you would get tried in. So the only time that you get to choose a region that you want to get tried in is if you've got and sometimes you don't even really get to choose. Sometimes it's just this is the area that is assigned to you. But it's only when you have a specific case that you could only see the federal government taking on. So like if you're suing the federal government or like one state, let's say that like the government of Ohio as a body is suing the government of Kansas as a body, what state do you hold that in? Well, there's no fucking way to know, so you actually have to take that into a federal court, because holding that in either state's trial court will favor the state you hold it in, because they're the ones with those laws. Instead, you go to a federal court with a more unilateral set of laws. Said that SCOTUS automatically? Not necessarily. Remember, there's a base level federal court in the districts, and there's also an appellate court after that. You don't always go immediately to SCOTUS. They do not always go immediately there. Granted, there are things that the Supreme Court has complete and total jurisdiction over, but not all that. Like, Supreme Court has original jurisdiction if there's an issue between the United States and a state. So, like, the United States governmental body as a whole and an individual state. So, U.S. versus Texas, U.S. versus Florida. The Supreme Court has jurisdiction there. Foreign ministers or ambassadors, that's Supreme Court too.
Well, I'm pretty sure if I'm understanding this right, our Verfassungsgericht, so our highest, pretty much our highest like judicative, they're only there to protect like the Grundgesetz, so our constitution basically. You don't just go there for like basic things.
Gotcha.
Pretty sure that's right. I'm if that's wrong, please tell me in chat, but I'm pretty sure that's like that.
Yeah. Also, I noted that like, so I said 2 states specifically as a thing. I might need to reword that. It's more that if you have, if you sue a state, I am in Florida, or I'm even a governmental person in Florida, and I'm suing Ohio. That is a federal thing, but that's not going to the SCOTUS. If it's 2 states, if it's the entirety of the state as a body versus the entirety of the state of the as a body, Supreme Court has original jurisdiction on those cases. It doesn't mean that that's where that will go, but they do get original jurisdiction over it. But again, remember, Supreme Court only hears about 1 to 10% of all cases. So they might see that that case is there, and it will still probably be a thing that the lower courts have to take care of.
Well, like I said, I don't know that much about the courts and stuff. That's I already told you that's not my expertise in any way.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. It's so a lot of this stuff is like I would probably be more articulate on it were I somebody who had to go through law school specifically. Said our system was quite revolutionary in 1787. Yeah, that's a bad pun. That's a bad pun. Jeebus. So there's one thing that I'm curious about, though.
Sure.
I'm curious how were bills passed in Germany? Like, if somebody wants to get something written into law, what's the method for making that happen?
Okay, so as far as I understand this, there's either the Bundestag, usually the Bundestag, makes proposes a law, and then they discuss it, and they make it like gets discussed and stuff, and then they make maybe some changes to it, and then they vote on it, and then the Bundesrat like gets to look at it, as far as I understand, and then if they allow it, then yeah, it's put into law, and it can. But the Bundesrat, I believe, can also make an initiative for a law, or not just laws, also initiatives. Like if you say, yeah, we want to build more windmills, then that's not a law, that's just initiative, you know. And then the Bundestag looks at it. That's as far as I understand it. And then like I think the government writes it better, I guess what you could say it, and then the president like just signs it or shit.
Oh, okay, so that's not super different from how ours is. So for us,
wait, the part of the government might have been wrong, I think. Right, I just know that I think that part was wrong, but the president then signs it.
So for here, a bill is introduced in either the House or the Senate. Like I said, depending on whether you're in the House or the Senate, that determines the type of bill you're allowed to introduce. If it's a bill about revenue, it's almost always got to be the House. They got to be the ones that throw those bills through. That bill will be debated in the separate chambers. So the House will debate on the bill. The Senate will debate on the bill. This is why so many bills die in the Senate, because of the filibuster. So like,
that doesn't exist here.
Yeah. So like, let's say you have your debate on a bill about climate change, and Ted Cruz stands up and starts going, "All right, what we're gonna do tonight is talk about the history of slavery in the Bible and how it never once was in it." And then he'll be up there talking about apologetics for God knows how long.
Filibuster, you can also just like I believe somebody like read a cookbook once or something. You can just say anything, right?
Yeah, and then can a second chamber make changes to a bill the first chamber sends to them? So bills, it depends on the bill. Bills go through a lot of drafts. There's a long drafting process that happens with it, and that drafting process is also had for like Supreme Court decisions. This is why like the Alito opinion that was leaked about Roe v. Wade is not final. We won't know about what we're actually going to have to do where Roe v. Wade's concerned until a little later into the summer. So didn't Ted Cruz read Green Eggs and Ham on the Senate floor? It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I want. Yeah, you can just say anything. Well, here, the thing is, our just specifically talking about the Bundestag, but the Bundesrat is also very similar. So I guess that kind of counts for both. There's like a Bundestag president, so the president of the Bundestag and the president of the Bundesrat, and they just sit there and they enforce the house rules, and if they think that something's irrelevant, they can actually kick them off the floor if they're behaving badly. So you can't do that.
Yeah, no, here they just have to sit and watch and wait.
It's actually really funny sometimes when the AfD does some really stupid shit again, and they just get the shit from the president. Can I swear
Yeah,
on your
you can
videos?
use
Oh,
you can
okay.
use the fuck word.
Fuck.
So I've said this before and I'll say it again. If I ever get elected to the United States Senate, somehow, magically, I know it will never happen. I don't want it to happen. But let's pretend it does. You can bet your ass that every member on that Senate floor will know far too much about Sonic the Hedgehog lore by the time I'm done with the filibuster. They'll end the filibuster because I simply won't stop because I don't have to. Oh god, I've gone through the entirety of the Archie Sonic comic lore. We'll move on to the IDW Sonic. Then we'll move on to the manga. Then we'll move on to Fleetway Sonic. Then we'll move on to the games. Then we'll move on to the OVA. Like, I can do this all fucking day.
I'm gonna talk about the Undertale fandom. That shit goes deep.
I will say this where Undertale is concerned. Flowerfell is amazing and also very sad.
I love AUs. I used to be an Undertale fan. I very much.
I fell down the AU rabbit hole.
I love Aftertale so much. Like Gino. Okay, you know why my name is Gino, right? In online, right?
It comes from Undertale AU fandoms now, I know.
Well, basically, okay, I'm not gonna go into my OC lore in this video. You can ask me later.
Fair enough. I will just say this as the last aside on the Undertale thing. If any of you have not watched Glitch Tale, you're doing yourself a disservice. Go fucking watch it now. Literally pause the video and go watch the entirety of that series, and then come back to me.
There was a kindergarten EU. This was really great. This was fun. I always love when the different senses were together. We should stop.
Look, there's nothing wrong with a small tangent, but the tangent does have to end at one point. No. So what was the next thing that I had here? So yeah, after a bill is introduced, after the debates have happened, the bill then goes to the president. The president either gets to veto the bill or sign it into law. If he vetoes a bill, it has to go back to the Senate or the House, and they have to keep on debating and drafting. You can get a bill to die because it's constantly going through this.
You see, we don't have a person at the top that has a veto right. We just have, like, if a law gets passed, then the other part of government, like the other part of the legislative, gets to look at it and they say, nope, make a revision, and then it gets back, and then that's a whole thing. I don't know how. I'm pretty sure a lot of laws actually get passed here. When I was in like law classes at my. This sounds stupid, but there's schools called gymnasiums. Our school system is weird, but basically, if I at school, they told us that actually our law book actually changes a lot, and they actually copy pages to put in because they can't buy that many books.
Okay. Also, it was.
Suris typing.
Yeah, it was noted by Sarah Chikorita as well. You can override the president veto. You need a 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate. If you have a 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate, you can override a presidential veto.
Whenever that shit happens.
Like that's not a thing that happens often because it's usually like a handful of seats in one or the other direction.
Usually for most things here you need like over 50%, and there are some things, if you like want to change the Grundgesetz, then you have to have then it's like 2/3 and a lot more stuff and yeah,
Yeah,
stuff like that. We actually change our Grundgesetz, not our. That you'd never change your constitution.
well, we have changed our constitution several times. They're called the amendments. Like, yeah, while the original like document may not change, we do put amendments on it, and that changes the document itself. So, like, for instance, the original document allowed for slavery because it didn't expressly forbid it. It wasn't until the 13th Amendment that we got rid of. I say we got rid of slavery. We still have it. It's just linked to the prison systems now, as opposed to plantations.
Right. Prisoners can go on plantations, I guess.
I mean, yeah, they could, but you can't own a group of slaves as a person. The state technically owns it, which is stupid. Our 13th Amendment is not very well written, but or like, for instance, a right to privacy wasn't guaranteed in the original Constitution, but our 14th Amendment basically guaranteed that. It's what Roe v. Wade, like the right to abortion, it's based off our 14th Amendment.
The first part of the Grundgesetz reads like, if I can translate it, like the, wait, give me a second. Like the dignity of a person cannot be touched, and that's basically pretty much does away with slavery altogether, I believe. That's like a really important thing here, which, yeah.
Also, Sarah Trigger says, I think that was the 14th. Nope. The text of the 13th reads, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, where somebody has been duly convicted, shall exist in the United States or any subject to their jurisdiction, which is why it literally allows for prisoners to be slaves.
I don't think that's allowed here.
Yeah, I would hope not. Or like, awkwardly, our 18th Amendment tried to lower the drinking age in America, and it lowered it to age 18, and then our 21st
That's important.
And then our 21st Amendment raised the drinking age back up to 21.
Excuse me, is that, I'm so sorry, but isn't the Constitution supposed to be like, this is the principles which every law has to be based on, and not, oh yeah, that's the drinking age? That seems a bit weird that those two things are in the same document. Shouldn't the drinking age just be a separate law?
Should be, but the United States is the US is weird. You got to remember what can and can't be added to the Constitution. We kind of make those rules up as we go, and then we have originalists who pretend that we don't.
We can drink at 16, and I believe even lower if you have parental permission, which I don't say that's good, but you have to just throw it in there.
I know people who think that the drinking age should not be lower than 25 because that's when the brain stops developing. I get the logic behind it, but at the same time, I think the main problem with drinking in the United States is the fact that 16 is also our driving age.
Taproot asked, does Germany actually follow the UN's Universal Declaration of Human Rights? I don't exactly know, but I'm pretty sure we do a lot of human rights violations when it comes to refugees. That's kind of stupid, but I believe generally we're better than America in a lot of things. Like, we don't treat our people bad.
Oh, we violate a lot of the treaty on human rights. I actually have a video that goes over all 30 of the human rights themselves that we agreed to, like that we penned down with the United Nations, and 2 of them can be interpreted as guaranteeing healthcare for citizens. And we just say fuck that.
Yeah, no, here it's actually voluntary. Not voluntary, the exact opposite of voluntary.
Mandatory?
Help me. Mandatory that you have healthcare. If you don't, you if you get private or you pay taxes, and then you have like the basic healthcare of the state or something like that. I'm not an expert again. Why am I here?
It was your idea.
Okay. I'm a go then.
No. You wanted to do this, and I agreed. And you know
I
what?
mean,
I'm still having a fun time.
technically, I said that I wanted to talk about the political parties, and you said nope. Political
I mean,
system, which is okay. I'm not saying it's bad. Just
so the last part is
I'm
actually
innocent.
about the parties.
Sure.
The parties are just so I wanted to get an overarching narrative for all of this, and the political parties are part of it, but they are just the last part I have as in terms of like the structure of this.
Just saying, I'm innocent. I was forced into this by Suris. I did not agree to this. Yes, I did.
I wish my VTuber avatar was working right now because this is where I would glare. But I've lost the ability to glare. It's been paywalled behind an iPhone. So
now you're just angrily looking at me with your rant sauna.
Yep. This is where I just start sending angry emojis in chat. That's what I have to do. It's the closest I can have. That. Well, now I have to go fucking find my emojis. Hold on, where is it? You know what? No, it's right here. This is the closest I have. This is delete.
Okay, I'm gonna delete myself.
No, that sounds like... Oh shit, I actually do have an angry emoji. I don't use my own emojis enough.
I can't use emojis. Here have Suris cards.
You have access to those, but you don't have access to the other ones.
I don't have access to any of the ones I made.
Oof. I am sorry.
Oof.
I mean, there's technically...
That's Twitch's fault.
We could always do the terrible Bad Bunny meme. $5. How do none of you have $5?
Oh god, that's old.
I hate it so much.
We should get back on topic, I believe.
So, political parties.
No, nobody buy me a sub. I'm not begging for a sub. Stop. So.
Usually the subs beg.
Stop it.
So, in the United States, we've got 4 or 5 parties here, but let's be honest. Realistically, we have 2 parties. We have the Democrats. They're our liberal party. They're center left. And then we've got the Republicans. Anywhere between center right and far right tend to be the Republicans. It should be noted that the Republican politicians are not always a mirror image of Republican voters. There are plenty of people who are like very socially progressive who end up voting for Republicans, sometimes because they don't know any better, sometimes for other reasons. Gloaming Dust, thank you very much for gifting out a community sub. Red Joker, thank you for gifting out one as well. 1 to YaraKoro.
Again, I wasn't begging, but thank you.
Said, are you a Democrat or a Republican? I mean, that's a poll suggestion. My answer is very simple. Neither.
If anybody here's a Republican, I think that would be pretty weird.
No, there's... I'm not going to get into Saturday's fiasco. But... So...
I'm a humanist, if you want to know that. If anybody even cares about German political parties.
See, I wish we actually had a humanist party here. That would be useful.
We're like center, but we take from both sides, I guess. Which, but we are really left-leaning when it comes to most things. But we're more like we're more capitalist. We're not socialist. But I like the way we make positions, so that's why I'm voting for them. Enough about my political party.
Fair enough. So here in the U.S., one of the big hallmarks of our political parties is that they are supposedly polar opposites. They are supposed to be, and I'm saying this the way I am because lobbying exists, and so both parties can be bought depending on the corporation. And we have no limit to the amount of money that can be sent via a PAC to any party or even individual. So, yeah, no, like, they're not as different as I would like them to be, but there are some major differences where they're concerned. Technically, they are polar opposites. Usually, Republicans want lower taxes. They want to slash government help. They want to kill welfare programs. Democrats tend to want environmental regulation. Welfare programs are good for Democrats. They want to increase healthcare spending. Whether or not we'll actually get a single payer system through them, I do not believe we ever will. But I can hope. Republicans usually want less gun regulations. Democrats want tougher gun regulations. Democrats typically are pro-choice. Republicans are typically fucking monsters. Though this wasn't always the case, we had the Democrats used to actually be our conservative party in the U.S., and then the Southern strategy happened, which is where Democrats as a party lost all of the, or was it the Democrats were conservative, but they moved further left, and so the Republicans, who originally were more progressive, had to shift far to the right because they lost their voter demographic as the Democrats moved further and further left. So they had to take basically the racists and assholes to be their voting party at that point. We've had other parties historically that have died. We used to have the Whig Party. They were one of the attempts before the Republicans to try to de-seat the Democrats. The Democrats are an older party than the Republicans. But yeah, no, none of that really ends up mattering because the end result is Democrats end up being our liberals usually. Republicans end up being our conservatives. Those are the only parties that matter. We've got other ones.
I think
they don't matter.
I think the only difference between Democrats and Republicans is that the Democrats pretend to be liberal, and the Republicans are just open conservatives.
There's certainly a lot of puritanical elements in the Democrats. For instance, Brittany Tenenbaum, who was originally in the race against like Marcus Flowers and all of them in the Democratic primary here, was actually like her funding from the Democratic Party was cut because they found out that she did burlesque and cosplay.
Good. By the way, Gray Fox asked, is there gun regulation in Germany? I think that's actually pretty interesting because you can't own a gun here without getting a license, and getting a license isn't that... Well, it's not hard, but it's also not that easy. You don't just go somewhere, yeah, give me a license, and then you get it. Like, you can't just own a gun, and you also can't open carry it. You have to have a reason and stuff, and yeah. No guns. Only, well, you can have guns at traditional festivals, like Bavarian festivals. I live in Bavaria, we have a lot of gun culture in that part, but not for any other things. Yeah, just wanted to say that, sorry. Suris? Did you die?
So the mute button on my microphone is actually heat sensitive, so if I move my hand too close to it, it just shuts off without me touching it. Oof. But
right, that's your back.
So I was gonna say that like that's different than here, because like the gun culture here is that guns are measuring devices for people's dicks.
No, we just have them at traditional events, and other than that, you have to have a reason. You have to put them in a bag or something, and you can't just open carry a gun.
Yeah, you can walk to the local Starbucks with an AK-47 here, and people don't blink.
No. There was actually recently an event where, I'm not gonna name specifics or else people are gonna know where I live, but there was like a supermarket or something where a student walked in with a fake gun and everything was locked down. A bunch of police officers were present searching the area because one person had a gun which was fake. It was because of a school event where we dressed up as mafia, like our yeah. Oh god, I said too much.
How did you say too much?
The mafia part was maybe a bit specific. Never mind.
Oh, okay, that's fair. But the point is, like, here we've actually had people get killed by the police when they carry fake guns, because the police would like look at you have to have an orange tip. Usually on like an airsoft gun or a Nerf gun. It's not a legal requirement, but it is advised to have an orange tip on those, because otherwise some of them are fairly indistinguishable from just an actual gun. And that will Like, again, people have been killed by the police because they see a Nerf gun aimed at them and they think it's real.
Oh, I did post that on Twitter. I'm not careful on Twitter, am I?
I think you're fine. As long as nobody's actively doxing you.
Well, I don't know. I don't think you can actually find me based on that because I live in a completely somewhere else than I go to school. So yeah.
Said, imagine dying because your orange chip snaps off. Yeah, well, it's like so if I look, people who've seen my office, it's filled with Nerf guns. I have a Nerf gun behind me that's called a DZP. The DZP looks like a handgun. It feels like a handgun. You can even use actual handgun parts on it. However, the DZP has a orange piece that if you go outside with it, they recommend you in the manual snap this really large orange piece onto it because it looks so much like a goddamn handgun that, yeah, a police officer might just shoot you. So, no, you finally got the DZP. Super Porion, I've had a DZP forever.
I think we were at political parties.
Yes. We're supposed to be.
Did you want... Is there a specific question you have?
So I gave the example of like how our political parties are.
Yeah.
I recognize that for Germany, it's going to be a little harder to actually answer what all of your political parties are.
No, I can talk about the 6 main ones and maybe a few of the bigger small ones, if that's all right.
I know I'm interested in the meme party.
What?
Didn't you say that there was a political party you guys had that was just based on memes?
Die Partei. Which literally means the party. Yeah, yeah. I think that's... did I say a meme party? I mean, they have a lot of memes. I don't know if they're just like a joke thing.
Yeah, that's... So the way you described it to me before, it sounded like it was a party literally based on memes. Not that the party itself was just a joke.
I don't know, it's satire party. Maybe I meant... Did I mean a different... Well, Die Partei is basically a satire thing, and they have a lot of memes, yes.
Yeah, everybody in chat is just like, I wish we had 6 viable parties, or viable parties in the United States. I wish we did too.
Okay, so basically there are currently like 416 people in our government, in the Bundestag, like on the above government parties, which is split into SPD, Grüne, and FDP. So SPD is basically like social democrats, I would say. They should be. But they often lean a lot more to conservatism because they used to ally with a conservative party and they kind of merged, I guess, with that. But they're a bit more left. A lot of people who are like in the party, which aren't like the politicians but just like members, are very left. There's a lot of Antifa actually in there, so they're like center to left. I would say they're pretty varied. The politicians often more center, but yeah. Then there's if you have specific questions, you can just throw them in. Then the Green Party, like the Grüne, the Green, obviously the Greens, they're very like liberal, they're socially progressive. I would say they're more capitalist than other parties, but mostly they more like focus on climate protection, and
so
they're not very socially progressive, I'd say.
So they're not much different than our Green Party. Like the biggest thing with our Green Party is they're like the climate activists. You generally find them gravitating towards the Green Party here. That doesn't sound very far off from what we have. The only difference is they're not a major party here. They're considered a joke, just like the Libertarian Party.
Yeah. Also, the SPD, the one that's socially democratic, they are currently like the biggest party. So the Chancellor is also from them. Weird question, but do you know who our Chancellor is?
I don't actually.
Oh, okay, it's Scholz. He's called Scholz. Merkel left last period. Then like the second big one is the Green, and then we also, for some reason, they had to fill a few seats, so they just took in the FDP also. They're like the libertarian, capitalist party. But they are pretty socially progressive. I guess that's why the Greens and the SPD kind of rope them in so they can fill a few seats, because our other parties would be a lot worse. I don't like them a lot. I don't dislike them. I don't know. I like the, well, basically they feel like they're more like a equalizing thing in the government, where some things that the Green Party does I don't like because they're pretty bad at economics. So I guess the FDP just like, equalizes a lot of things in there, but they maybe push a lot of things in the wrong direction, like the car dependency. They love cars and shit. Also, a lot of the, wasn't there recently a pretty trashy party that popped up? Yeah, I'm gonna come to that. But basically, where was I? Their members are really weird. Like, they're libertarians. I think you know what I mean.
A very third grade schooler's idea of freedom. That's my politics.
Well, I guess so. Basically, I wouldn't say that that the FDP itself, the members are weird. Some of them are very like libertarian weird people, usually the younger ones. There's the Yulis, so the young libertarians, literally young, and they are just batshit crazy. Like, they wanna fuck corpses and shit. Also, they're all fanboys.
Hold on. Wait, no, we can't just glance past that. Wait, hold on. I need you to say that again slowly.
Okay, so basically, there are a lot of weird people in that young libertarians, and they are just, you can't go a day in the Twitter bubble of them without having somebody discuss fucking corpses.
Okay.
But they're all gay. They're also all gay.
So that awkwardly reminds me a little bit of our libertarians. I'm not trying to say that our libertarians are all necrophiliacs.
No, that was just, I'm not saying that everybody's, but they often discuss really, really, really weird things.
But the thing that I was going to point out is that it's like how libertarians here in the United States, you can ask them about like consent, and the minute you start talking about like can a 14-year-old consent to a contract, can a 14-year-old consent to child labor, they start to give really weird and shaky answers on those grounds. And it's like, if we agree that consent is a universal thing, if we agree that consent can be given and revoked unilaterally, if you agree that a 14-year-old can consent to a long-running contract, there's other things you're, by that nature, agreeing to. And it's a weird thing you can catch a lot of them in, and it's... So, yeah, when you brought up the fucking corpses thing, I'm like, oh no, we're here again.
Yeah, I'm not saying that everybody's a necrophile in there. I'm just saying that they often discuss really, really weird shit. And I also often hear them debate about pineapple on pizza. That's very important for them.
So does fucking a corpse violate the NAP? What is the NAP?
Non-aggression policy. I believe that's like
the non-aggression principle. Okay.
Yeah, like ANCAP shit. There are also a lot of ANCAPs in the Yuli. Anyways, I requested an ovo. Where's my ovo?
Damn it! I guess I have to make a special exception for you, don't I?
Why?
I'd said that I tend not to do the redeems whenever I have a guest on, but you are the guest, so
I am the guest.
Fuck.
Do it.
Fine. Owl.
Great. Now we can move on.
Oh, so now we get to move on. Okay.
Okay, so do you have any more questions about the three governing parties? Because then I would go to the next one.
So it's so here, when we have the party structure is basically a way to make sure that there's a unified front when it comes to votes. So like if a bill is proposed and House Republicans don't agree with the bill, and we've got a 50-50 split between both parties, you then have to convince like a handful of Republicans to actually agree with that bill for that bill to go forward and continue in its life cycle of potentially becoming a law. So my question is, with the major parties, what's the actual function of having the major parties there? Like, let's say one of the parties proposes a bill. How is that split determined? Because here it's really easy. It's a 50-50 thing. Because I know you mentioned before that like the amount of votes that a party gets determines the amount of time they get on the debate floor. How does that function with writing laws?
Well, usually a law needs like over 50% to, like most laws, there's some exceptions, but most laws need 50%. And the government always has over 50% of the seats. That's why they're the government. I mean, there's exceptions if not enough parties come together, then there's a government which has less than 50%, but usually they should have more than 50%. And so I guess they mostly decide things, and then there's the opposition. And usually the three main parties are like, they like vote the same, but they don't have to, and I mean, every individual person there votes differently, so it's not like they just decide everything.
Okay, so it's there. So there still is a need to have 50% agreement on something becoming a law, but it's
over 50%.
Yeah, but it's over 50%. But it's not like a single party controls that unilaterally the way they do here.
Certainly not. Certainly not. Like there's 6 parties. They all have different opinions. Mostly, I'd say they are very different, every one of them, and except that CDU and CSU. I'm coming to that. Yeah, usually the 3 governing parties should vote the same, but like there are usually a few people who don't, and then there's, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, like they should all vote where the party is concerned. That's you usually have that split, but like just like how we have Joe Manchin here, who kind of throws that entire idea out of the water for Democrats. It's the same thing there.
I mean, it's allowed. It's not bad to vote against your party.
It's not bad to vote against your party in general, but like when it's something where
Republicans.
Yeah, like that's I can be upset when it's for the Republicans. I hold that right.
I wonder if there's a greater gridlock in the US or Germany. What's a gridlock?
So a gridlock is when a law, it's very hard to get laws passed. It's very hard to change policy. Like, for instance, gun reform in the United States. That's a gridlocked issue for the most part. Getting gun reform to pass in the United States requires the Democrats to sacrifice votes, and it requires the Republicans to sacrifice face. Neither side is willing to do those, so typically you either get laws that get passed that do nothing, like they go, aha, here's a red flag law. If you have a history of shooting 20 people, you can't get a gun. Oh, cool. That doesn't change anything. Like,
well,
you create a gridlock where you can't do anything about an issue.
So basically, I don't think that's a bad of a big issue here, but that does exist usually because there's a lot of people who are against something, but there's still a huge debate about it. Like the biggest thing is, you know how on our Autobahn, like our highway system, there's no speed limit in a lot of places?
Yeah.
In most places, that's like a huge debate, like huge. It gets, every time there's anything happening, that gets revived, and there's nothing done about it because there's the people that are like want the environment to be safe, but then there's the ones who are like, nope, I'm gonna drive my truck no, not truck, that's American, my BMW, I'm gonna drive it as fast as I wanna.
I remember, Yara, all Americans drive pickup trucks. All Americans drive pickup trucks.
And have houses.
Yes. Oh my god. But so that's kind of weird to me that like there is at least a gridlock issue in Germany, like there is one here in the United States, though it takes a different form. Because like for here, the gridlock issue is guns. Like that's whenever you think of a gridlock issue in the United States, it's just guns.
It's just how fast you can drive. One thing you need to know about Germany is that we are obsessed with cars.
Oh? I mean, I kind of... So, like, I know that, like, Volkswagen is a thing here in the United States.
Volkswagen. So... Volkswagen is one of our... one is, like, made here, yes.
Yeah. So, like, I know that there would be a little bit of that culture there because, you know, a lot of the manufacturing happens there.
Can you say Volkswagen?
Volkswagen?
God.
I'm
God,
sorry.
no.
Look, all I know
Never mind.
all I
Just...
know is I'm disappointing you, and that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Oh, okay. If you want to play that game.
Yeah, sure. I'm perfectly fine playing that game, Yara. We've known each other for long enough. I can do that.
All right. Go on.
Look, I understand that as the artist, you technically have more power to disappoint than I do. You have the ability to be like, hey, guess what? You're a Bitcoin now, and I just have to take that.
I can draw that right now.
Nope. That was not a challenge.
Okay, so do you have another question, or should I move on?
So the gridlock thing was interesting. That you guys do have there is a similar culture of something that it's very hard to get legislation passed on.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it a good thing, but it is interesting that that's there too. I'm actually kind of curious since you brought up the Audubon stuff. So what's is there actually like a high fatality rate on the Audubon?
No, not really. The thing is, we actually don't have that high of a fatality rate compared to other countries. I don't have a position on whether we should make a speed limit there. I think that the 130 might be a bit low, but
130 kilometers?
Yeah. That's like the I don't know how to say it, but if you're over that, then you get like more responsibility when you have an accident. That's like the thing, but you can drive as fast as you want. But I think it's a fine number to have that, but I don't know. It's not that important what my position in that is. I don't really have a position.
Okay, so that's 80 miles an hour here. Most of our highways actually have a speed limit of 75 miles an hour, so that would be considered, like here, that'd be considered reasonable. Because going over 80 is like, welcome to jail, motherfucker.
I've driven faster than that.
Yara, I do not wish to be in the passenger seat in your car if you come here. That sounds terrifying.
My car can go very fast.
I said I thought 65 is common. Not here. It's 75 literally everywhere where I am.
I think my car can go to like 260, but I've never tried it because I'm new to driving.
That's terrifying. Cargo fast, cargo space.
Yes, we are obsessed with cars over here, so I think that's not the... Yeah.
That's...
Yeah.
That creates a... So, okay, I understand the being terrified of guns in the United States, but now I'm terrified to drive in Germany.
We don't have that big of a fatality rate on roads, actually. It's really safe. We have really good laws on the street, and yeah.
Actually, that's
it's very good roads. We have very good roads. We don't have potholes.
Ivanis is Yara be zooming. Look, there's gonna be somebody's gonna make fan art now of like you just driving ridiculously fast, and then just like I'll be in the passenger seat and like the skin will be falling off my skeleton.
I've never gotten fan art. I don't have fans.
You do have fans. I'm right
I
here.
Have a cat. I have a fan. Can you? Are you alive?
Nope. I wanted there to be a very long, awkward silence after that.
Okay. Don't scare me even more.
Things to be scared about: guns.
Yes, make
awkward
fan art
silences.
dancers. Make some fan art dancers.
I am not good at art.
I don't care.
I'll think about it. My drawing tablet's right in front of me. I'll think about it.
It's alright. So maybe we should move on. So basically in the opposition, which is currently it's called the Union, but it's made up of two parties. So the CDU and CSU.
Mm-hmm.
So they used to be the governing party, but they are conservative, and they got in a lot of controversies the last years. So they kind of lost to the SPD and Greens, and yeah. So they are now in the opposition, which is kind of weird because that's the party that Merkel was from, and they're made of two parties, the Union, There's CDU, which is the so I guess it's the CDU is a very conservative party. They're a bit social in some aspects, but they're conservative. And then there's the CSU, which are a bit more right-leaning, just a tiny bit. And you can only vote for them in Bavaria.
You can wait. What? How?
Yeah. So basically, they're like a sister. They're sister parties. They split. They used to be one, and they split. And in the rest of Germany, you vote for the CDU, and in Bavaria, you vote for the CSU. That's actually also one of the biggest parties here.
It just feels so. Like I know that there's some like it's for instance, it's hard for me to vote Green in Georgia. I was literally only allowed to vote Libertarian, Democrat, or Republican. So I'm not alienated to the idea of like geographically locked parties, but at the same time, when you just said, yeah, no, you can only vote for them in Bavaria, what? It still feels weird to me. It's not an alien concept to me, but it still feels weird.
I don't know. They're pretty much the same kind of political party. Just one of them is blue and white, and the other one is black.
And so, when you say the opposition, so for here, when you have two political parties that are in power, the words we use are we've got the minority and the majority. So, like, for instance, Mitch McConnell is considered a Senate minority leader. But because there's, just like one fewer Republican in the Senate right now.
Wow.
Yeah, we got Raphael Warnock in instead of David Perdue here in Georgia, and that
Currently
helped flip the fucking Senate.
In the government, we have 416 people, and in the opposition, we currently have 320. Big difference.
Okay. So so when you say opposition, is it the same thing as our majority minority thing, just the ones that have more power versus the ones who don't?
So, like I said, the government are like parties which, they come together at the beginning of the term, and they say, yeah, we're now going to be the government, and because we're more than 51%, and then the rest of them are the opposition who are not unified. They're just there.
Okay, so a single part. The reason they're the opposition is because they're not a single unified front, the same way the party in power is. Okay, so that makes a little more sense.
Parties in power. There are multiple parties in power.
Okay.
Like I said, 3 of them, and they make a union at the beginning. I don't know how to accept, and they make the government up. They make up the government.
No, they make
and
the
they
government
should
up.
Vote the same.
They make the government up. It's better that way.
Yeah, exactly. And basically, also something about the government is we have the ministers, and they're divided among the parties which are in the government.
Okay, so it's 51-49 if I remember right, but it's already 59-51 because of Manchin and Cinema. Yeah, on most issues, Sarah Chikorita, you are right there. Our Senate is weird. So I thought the Senate was 50-50 with Harris as the tiebreaker. No, our Senate, we currently control more of the Senate as Democrats. The vice president is supposed to be the tiebreaker. The vice president is the leader of the Senate, but that does not mean that it's not set up based on the amount of people we voted in. So with your opposition parties, do they still have basically equal ability to propose laws, to propose bills?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, so
nothing. They can do anything.
So pretty much it's almost an in name only based on numbers thing.
Yeah, I guess. Yes, but they usually the government should they have more control over executive things, then they can they have more, I guess, more speaking time. They should usually vote similar. The thing is also, like you said, you say, oh, there is mention in cinema, so therefore it goes more to Democrats. We can't really, in Germany, you can't just say, oh yeah, these people usually actually vote more like this party, but they're in this party. It's really complicated.
So what's the difference there? Because I know for here, it's easier to get somebody in the party to vote along party lines, but obviously Manchin and them show that it's not necessarily that's not necessarily true. So you say there's a difference there. Can you explain that?
Well, well, every member has can vote how they want to. Usually they vote with the party, but they can vote differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. Usually, there's a lot of variety in the parties actually. Like in the SPD, there are a lot of centrists, but there are also a lot of leftists, I would say.
Gotcha. So it's just because because your parties are more varied, it's less of a taboo for them to vote against party lines.
I guess, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like,
I mean, if you don't vote with the Nazi party.
I mean, don't. Yeah, if you are a Nazi and you don't vote with the Nazi party, then you're automatically doing better than everyone else. Jesus. Or you could just not be part of the
I'm
Nazi
not
party.
joking. I'm gonna come to that one. I'm actually gonna come to that one next. Do you want to hear about our Nazi party?
Sure.
I'm not exaggerating. So basically, we have the AfD, the Alternative for Germany, as they are translated, and they are I mean, a lot of people would say, "Oh no, they're not Nazis. Don't just call them Nazis." They said a lot of Nazi shit. They said, "Oh, we have enough immigrant." Like one really high person in the party, once said, "Oh, we have enough refugees now that maybe Gassington would be viable again."
Wait, what? Hold on.
Yes.
And this isn't hyperbole. This is
I
literally
don't know
we've hit that point.
I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm translating it wrong, but they pretty directly said that. Like one of the people in there. There's a whole webpage about shit they said. But they're not. The thing is, they aren't one of the biggest parties. Actually, they're like the second biggest, I'd say. No, not the second biggest, the second smallest. Second biggest would be a bit horrible. No, the second smallest. Like the smallest one would be the Linke. I'm gonna come to that. But from the 6 leading parties, not their smaller ones. But then AfD has 80 seats currently, and they say some really weird shit. There are a lot of Querdenker, we call them, like QAnon people. They are anti-LGBT. They are anti-vax. One of them wore a mask with holes in them and then made fun of anything. They always vote against everything, and they're just shit. They're actually being investigated by the government if they should even be allowed. So they're just being monitored, I guess.
That's I want to say that's not surprising, just because that's no different than the stuff we've seen here. We had January 6th happen.
We had something similar. I told you about that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of Querdenker, which also they stormed the Reichstagsgebäude, the building where the Bundestag is held. And I don't think it was an active session, but they stormed it, and there was just 2 policemen guarding it. It was a whole stupid thing. It didn't amount to anything. Just a bunch of stupid people doing stupid shit.
I mean, technically, January 6th was a bunch of stupid people doing stupid shit, but it was.
We have a lot of I think it calmed down now, but especially during COVID time, it was really riling up. QAnon was also a big deal here.
Actually, kind of curious about that. So, here in the States, the COVID response was less than adequate, we'll go ahead and say. There were a lot of people, though, who were we had the combination of the COVID response being not very adequate, and then on top of that, people would complain about our overreaching of government, how terrible it was. Typically, again, this was a party split. This was Democrats saying, "Hey, more regulations need to be done because of COVID," and then Republicans saying, "No, my freedoms. You don't understand. I love having Omicron in the butthole." So I am curious with your parties, how did the individual parties actually handle COVID? Was it more of a
Oh,
united front thing where everybody agreed, or is there like, how did those debates
oh,
go?
okay. Just saying, I still have like one party that I should maybe go over, and then
Yeah.
maybe some smaller ones. But okay, I can answer that. So, I mean, at the time when Corona started, the union, like the CDU and CSU were, and the SPD were the government. They, well, I think we responded. Well, we did respond a lot better than the US. I gotta remember what the fuck happened in in 2020. I just remember we actually like had a full lockdown. We weren't allowed to leave our homes just for walks, and I mean it was different depending on the state you were in. Because in Bavaria you were allowed to leave for walks, in other states you weren't allowed to leave at all, and you like got calls also from the state when you got sick and that you have to stay in and shit, and which was good. There were mask mandates. There were a lot. There were certainly mask mandates, and that you certain safety precautions. There was literally a hand sanitizer everywhere. Schools shut down. We had a school shutdown. We had homeschooling for a long time. Then we had like a hybrid system for a long time, and I pretty much my entire year at our last 3 years or something of school were not normal in any way, and that were 2 of my graduating years, which is great. We didn't have anything like I'm not gonna never mind. But yeah, I think we could have done better, but it's not bad. The only problem is that we maybe at the end we stopped it way too early. We're still having cases, and it stopped way too early.
Yeah, that's I
How do you say Uwu in German? Uwu. Uwu.
get off of my stream. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All right. I can leave.
No, you're fine. So
3 Uwus.
if you want to get into the last party, I just wanted to have the information there on how the actual like the difference that our different countries decided to engage with COVID politically.
Yeah, I think we responded a lot more than you guys, but could have been better, I guess.
That at least Germany actually did shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine doing anything in the middle of a global pandemic. Weird, right?
It was actually pretty nice to just stay home from school.
I know a lot of people started learning that working from home was not only possible here, but in some cases, they just operated better working from home, and then they still got dragged into going back to offices for some weird reason. It was weird. But you said you did have at least one more party to go over.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you want to also hear about some small parties, I can do that too.
Sure.
But one of the bigger parties, the last one, the smallest one, which currently has to struggle even staying in somehow, is the Linke, which translates to the left. There are a mix of like socialists and some communists, and they're like very left. Well, there are also a lot of Antifa, so they're basically the left party. They were trying to also get into the government instead of the FDP, but they're actually, I mean, they're not as controversial as they would probably be in the States, but they are still a very controversial party. But I think they're a neat party, I guess. Yeah, they're kind of struggling to stay in right now.
It's kind of awkward. Like, there's always this idea that in America, in any case, like, this is the country that's more hostile to further left politics. But it seems that still happens in other countries to various degrees.
I mean, yeah, sure. I would more so call them socialists, not communists. Mostly, there are communists in the party. It's totally like more the members, but I would say they're socialists. They hate the rich basically, and that's that.
My politics are I do not like people with money.
They're right, I guess. Actually, they No, I used to think they were right now. I remember something. They have like a really, really bad stance in the whole
Right.
Ukraine-Russian thing. So,
I
I
have
don't like them.
I have to make an exception for another redeem. So, guys, remember that when we have a guest on, I do tend to not do redeems during the course of the guest being on, as respect to
You
the
can.
guest. But ran the fool, decided to drop 50,001 channel points like a fucking jackass.
Nice. Good for you.
Jesus fucking Christ. Pet whatever says it's also the tanky party. But before
Yeah.
I get into that, ran the fool. Get out of my stream. Go away. Why you do this?
Just say it.
No. You can't make me. Okay, I guess there's 50,001 channel points there. I technically have to. I don't. My consent is not actually an option here. Ran the
Just
fool.
say it.
Thank you for dropping a bunch of channel points and making my life difficult. Oh well. Oh well.
Uwu.
There, you got it. Are you happy? Are you
Yes.
proud?
Yes.
Kill me.
No.
Damn it. Anyways, so there was the note about it being more of a tanky party. Can you extrapolate on that?
Well, they are often. What's the exact term of tanky again?
So tanky is usually your very authoritarian leftists. So like,
yeah.
say people who think that China really good actually, or Soviet Russia did nothing wrong, and
Definitely.
there's never been any Uyghur genocides. That never happened. Like that's usually your tankies tend to be that.
Yeah, I guess that's. I mean, there's different members in the party, so I wouldn't say everybody in there is like that, but a lot of them like try to. They're very, very authoritarian. I gotta say that they're very, very, very authoritarian, the Linke. And they are currently siding with. Well, they're not. I think they're not entirely siding with Russia, but they're just saying that NATO is like at fault for the whole thing. They're very, and they weirdly often agree with the AfD. They hate the AfD, but they weirdly often agree with them.
It's like that's like how Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, it's not that I support Russia, I just think Ukraine should let Russia take them over.
Yeah, I guess yes, that also comes from that side.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, there's varied opinions, but they have a very, very weird stance on the whole Ukraine thing.
I don't see how it's so difficult to just say big country invade small country. Bad. That's it. That seems like really single brain celled easy. And yet somehow.
I mean, they have some okay stances, I believe, but also some very weird ones, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't like any of the bigger parties, actually.
That's understandable. That's understandable. But you did say that there are some smaller ones you wanted to get into as well before we close off.
If you want to, how many do you want me to talk about?
Oh dear God!
I guess
I have no idea how to answer that honestly.
So, guess I'm just gonna go over some of that come to mind right now. So I said Die Partei. That's where are people typing my name in chat? Ah, okay, never mind. So, Die Partei is like a satire party. They're very left. They're socially progressive. They don't actually want to get into Bundestag. Most of the members don't even vote for them. They just exist. They are actually in the European Parliament. There's like I think one person that just sits there and is funny, I guess, and he exists. They're known for they're really anti-AfD. They hate the AfD. They make a lot of satire posters, and they just like hang them underneath posters of other political parties to make fun of them. Like they make parody posters of other parties. Or there was once the AfD, like a lot of their posters, like, do we say posters for when there's like a political campaign and you hang up
posters, signs.
Well, I guess signs on lampposts, signs on lampposts, and they were often getting vandalized, so they had to hang them up really, really, really high on the lamppost, And then there's a German saying which basically translates to lies have big feet. And they said then they made a poster that says lies have big letters.
Jesus Christ. So when you were saying it's a meme party, like it's not a party based on memes, but the party is a giant meme.
Yes.
Jesus.
They want the their positions are really funny. I've sent some of them. They want free beer for everybody. They want to split Germany in two again, basically. They think we should build the wall.
build the Berlin Wall again.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's an acronym too. Partei actually just translates to party, but they made it an acronym. It's the party for work, the Rechtsstaat, so the state of like the I don't know how to translate that. Then animal protection, Elitenförderung, so like eher Förderung. Like promotion? No, that's not the real word. Like funding the rich, I guess. And I don't know. It's not a good translation. And democratic initiative.
Huh.
Those are all just random words they chose. Had nothing to do with anything.
Gotta say, yeah, it feels like an acronym that was chosen after the fact.
Yes.
There's like, aha, we have this. Okay, how do we make it sound more legitimate? Put periods in between every letter.
No, it's just no, there are no periods. It's just die Partei. Okay, so then there's another one that actually is also a party in the US, the Pirate Party, die Piraten. They are an amazing party, and they. Sorry, should I say my political opinions in this?
If you want to.
Okay, so basically they're very progressive. They're more left-leaning. And they're really much focused on like digital stuff. Also, they're also are they in the European Parliament? I'm not sure, but they focus a lot of digital stuff, and they are very progressive and left-leaning. They usually have good stances on Ukraine, I believe.
Okay.
And they are also pretty funny sometimes. Then there's the Humanisten, the one I'm part of. And like you saw that in my biography. No, I used to have that in my biography on Twitter. And so they translate to the humanists, and they are humanists. We basically the main thing is like technological progression, humanism, and social progressivism, and technology is like really important for us. And yeah, they're usually they don't really say they're left or right. We are often more left-leaning, but there are some like economic positions that we will take from the right. I'm not always like entirely like have every position that party has, but I like the way we do things because we have a very open discussion culture in the party, and we discuss things a lot, and it's very like I wish I knew English. Like science is very important, like the scientific method. Everything that we do is based on a scientific method. Yes.
Okay, so it's very STEM oriented at that point.
Yeah.
So when you say technology is really important for that party, in which ways does that end up manifesting? Because my brain immediately goes to like prosthetics for people with disabilities.
I guess that too, yes.
Like transhumanism comes up as a obvious.
Have transhumanists. We certainly have transhumanists. So basically, we think that climate change, like they think, well, obviously I'm also of the belief that we need to do something about rich companies, but there's also a big push to like enhance science to go against climate change, and that we like enhance that the technological process, and like also medicine improves people's lives tremendously and stuff.
Okay, so it ends up being a lot of I mean it's pretty much directly as the name says. It's humanism,
Yes.
technological applications that help towards humanistic efforts.
We're also a very atheistic party. A lot of parties are here. I mean, we're not a very. I guess we're in some parts a Christian country, but we're also more atheistic than the USA. But a lot of parties are Christian. I mean, the CDU literally means the Christian Democratic Party. But we're very atheistic. We want, that's a really important part, that we want to put all God-related stuff out of the Grundgesetz and stuff, and not let people's circumcision. That's also a big thing that we want to prevent.
Look, I'm not going to say how many times Channel Pup has made the joke about how much Americans must miss their foreskins, but he has made the joke a lot.
Christian Democratic Union is the CDU, right? So. Also, we have a lot of transhumanists in our party. It's not the official stance. Oh, and European. We also want a European Union, a united European Union, like a republic. That's also a big part of our country. You may see that I have a EU flag in my Twitter name. Yeah. That's a big thing.
So, I do find that kind of interesting, because here in the States, if you had a party that said that they even supported atheism in any way, shape, or form, you would never get votes. Like, here in the States, everything has to be Christian coded.
I mean, we're a small party, but nobody actually really, like a really small minority of people actually care if you're an atheist or a Christian or whatever. Maybe the old people care. That's why the CDU is very important to old people, but no, we're a very atheistic country. We have some laws that are based on Christianity, like no, everything is closed on Sunday and stuff, but mostly, doesn't matter.
Sure, like even fast food places get closed on Sunday.
Here, a lot of people here don't like Muslims. We have a big problem with that too.
Yeah, I've that's no different than here.
Yeah.
Like, did pretty much after 9/11 happened that it became very dangerous to be a Muslim here.
Polygamy is not legal right now, but when the government forms when the parties unite and the start of the term, they write the whole thing about what they want to do, and one of them was actually reforming marriage laws, and they said partners. So maybe.
That would be awesome. I like seeing poly representation actually increase, though not polygamy specifically, polyamory. I do not like hierarchies in relationships.
I don't know a lot about that, but it's actually interesting. I used to not really think about it a lot and just say, oh no, polygamy, that's horrible. And then I actually learned that you're polygamous, and then I was just like, I need to rethink that.
Yeah, no, so polygamy specifically is marrying multiple spouses. So if a dude is married to multiple wives, that's polygamy. If a woman is married to multiple husbands, that one is called polyandry. But I am not a huge fan of specifically polygamy or specifically polyandry, because I feel like that creates kind of a hierarchy. I'm polyamorous. Yeah, polyamorous.
I'm sometimes I'm just talking German randomly. I don't know if you catch that.
I've caught it. It's fine. It's adorable. It's okay.
Okay, dann rede ich halt weiter so.
Said write that down. Write that down. Jesus Christ. Anubian says I'm polyamorous and it's illegal here in Canada. Wait, literally having multiple partners is illegal in Canada, or being married to multiple partners is illegal in Canada? Because the laws that say that it's illegal for me to have multiple partners are non-enforceable here. But for instance, you can't cohabitate with somebody you're not married to in Florida, but it's not an enforceable law. Married to multiple. Okay, so the actual act of marriage, that's the difference there. Usually it's very easy to get away with the dating part. Usually, not all the time.
did you want to ask something about the Sunday part? Because think you started a question, then I interrupted you.
So I wanted to know, so is it that it's just traditional for a lot of businesses to be closed on Sunday, or is that like
No, it's illegal.
it's illegal? It's illegal to have. Oh wow.
Well, except hospitals and police and stuff, but yes, most are illegal to have open.
So like if there's a McDonald's there Sunday, they're just closed.
McDonald's, that's the most US thing I've heard of you.
Look,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's what's here.
Like, yeah, if a supermarket can't open on Sunday.
And there's a specific supermarket y'all don't have there for good reason. Fuck Walmart.
Is Walmart a supermarket? I thought they were just like a giant thing with a lot of different things.
No, they're a
Supermarket here we usually call where you just get groceries.
Okay, so for here, a supermarket is also where you get other things. Like Target's a supermarket. You get, and Walmart's a supermarket. You get all of your groceries there, but you can also buy a TV there. You can buy a Switch there.
No, we don't have that at all. Maybe the most similar thing would be a Müller, which is a Drogeriemarkt, a drugstore, I guess you could say, where you get like, I don't know if that's the right word, but they have a lot of different stuff too, but it's not as big as a Walmart, and you don't get groceries there.
You said Target's not a supermarket from my perspective. Well, from my perspective, they're identical to Walmart. You can get all your groceries there, and also you can get your toys and your electronics and your camping goods there. Like, that's functionally identical to me to a Walmart. It's the same thing for me. But that said, I do think we are sitting at 2.5 hours.
Okay, let's start another topic. Why don't we?
So I think that's pretty much it when it comes to a lot of the stuff I wanted to compare with our two countries, because we went through the entirety of all three branches of both of our governments, and then also some of the differences in how our parties operate. I can't really think of anything else that immediately comes to mind, unless you do.
Edeka, where it has bicycle accessories. Our supermarkets, we usually have where we run, so there's just food usually, but then there's one random aisle where you get just random shit, like shoes and sometimes iPads or lights, really random shit that's just in the middle of the supermarket, but it's not an important part of it.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. The entire chat is disagreeing with the with my definition of supermarket. That's fine. You know what?
I heard the word superstore once.
Yeah, the definition of a supermarket is a self-service shop offering a wide variety of food, beverages, and household products organized into sections. This kind of store is larger and has a wider selection than grocery stores.
Oh, I guess we call what you call supermarkets. So supermarket will probably be the translation for supermarket, but I guess we usually mean grocery stores. We don't have something like Walmart here.
Okay. It does note here that like they are typically smaller and more limited in the range of merchandise than what's called a hypermarket or a big box market. So I guess Walmart and Target are technically hypermarkets, but like a Kroger is more of a supermarket by that definition. Sure. Why not? All words are made up. I stopped caring halfway through here. It's a super duper market. Jesus Christ. Anywho, I do want to thank you for hopping on, Yara.
Thank you.
That sounded so sad.
I was scared.
Why were you scared?
I hope I did okay.
You don't have to be scared. You've been literally everybody who has watched my channel for an extended period of time has been exposed to your artwork for the last 2 years.
So you got to be exposed to me now. Gotta deal with me.
Aside from the last time they were exposed to you when I did the VTuber interviews.
Sure.
Like, this isn't the first time.
Yeah.
I'm just watching the awkward devolve.
I'm sorry.
Well, where can everybody find you if they want to commission you or if they want to get in contact with you?
So I'm most active on Twitter, obviously. On Twitter, I'm called YaraKoro, the same as I'm called here, just without the underscore. And I also have an art account, which is called Genobun. And yeah, there's my art. That's where you will mostly find me. And I have a card, but a card website. I need to redo it because it doesn't work on mobile. If you want to commission me, just DM me.
I've done an unhealthy amount of DMing for commissions over the last bit of time. That's okay. I'm going to end up doing it again. So this is going to be a video, so don't worry on it. You know, that's fair. This is going up on YouTube later, so like if you missed a part of it, you can rewind on YouTube. That is a thing you can do. Well, thank you for letting everybody...
many people watching. Sorry.
So I do want to thank you again for hopping on. Thank you for letting everybody know where they can find you. The last thing I will say is Yara has actually made a handful of video games recently. One of them was Draconeck Havoc. If you have not played it before, if you like tower defense type games, and I'm going to say a word, and I know my audience is degenerate enough to take this the wrong way, but I'm going to say breeding simulators. And I know my audience is taking that the wrong way as I speak. But I mean stuff like Pokemon breeding, Chow breeding in Sonic Adventure 2, stuff like that. That's what I mean, you gutterheads.
Nobody even said anything yet. You're projecting.
I know what they're thinking. I know what is going to go to... These are the same people who on Sunset City said that Wayne's hands were breedable, okay? I have no faith.
I don't watch that, and I'm glad I don't.
Well, you also don't like Sonic, so it's easier for you to not.
I usually have no idea what you guys are talking about. I go in, you talk about Sonic, and I'm like, I don't understand a thing, and then I don't know, I just stay a bit, and then I'm like, no.
Blue Hedgehog Cobur. Okay, I got my fill. Bye. So that is available on itch.io. There should be a link in the description after this video goes live. There's also a meme game that Yara made that I learned how to break called Suris' Streaming. I
have not yet fixed that.
You have not yet fixed the bug.
I did not have time or motivation.
Look, I enjoyed beating everything to death with slimes that had the power of golden hammers. I recognize that breaks the game so hard, but it's... Jesus Christ, a breeding simulator sounds like a game from Newgrounds in 2014. Taproot? 2014 Newgrounds. No. 2009 Newgrounds. Yes. Either way, make a Necosaurus breeding simulator. Nope! Nope! Nope!
I mean, you wanted to make a...
We're done.
Can I? You wanted to, you know, the thing you talked to me about today about the game.
There's a difference between making a gacha game and making a breeding game. One of these is different. Game. Breeding gacha game? No. Okay, look, guys, if you want a gacha game with my avatar, say it in chat, but that doesn't mean it's gonna fucking happen. Okay? Anyways. Thank you for hopping on, Yara. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad to have been here. I guess yeah, thank you. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry. I'll just go ahead and do the usual exit. If you enjoyed this and you watched to the end, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Please follow the link so you can go follow Yara over on Twitter. Pick up her games, commission them if you haven't already, and do me a huge favor.
Give me your money.
Yes, that. As always, everybody, insert in a video tagline here. Kill me.